In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make modern pop music. And to do that, I remade Potential by Lauv, and I'll break down my remake of the song's elements, the sounds of those elements, the mixing, the structure and arrangement, all that jazz. So hopefully by the end of this tutorial, you can make a song in a similar modern pop style to this one. Set the tempo around 164 BPM. Start off by getting yourself a guitar. Now you could either just plug in your guitar and record this yourself, or if you can't play the guitar like myself, then you can find a great resource like Splice, which is paid for, or Looperman, which is completely free, to get some high quality samples like this. Next, build some MIDI chords around this guitar. These are just the same exact chords that the guitar sample plays, and I tried fitting them into a pattern of notes that kind of fits with the way the guitar was strumming. So for example, we have like the long here, and then a little shorter version, and then long, and then short, short, long, short, and then full long at the end. It's just really to flow with how the guitar was strumming. Obviously not exact, but it gets the vibe going. And for the sounds of these chords, I use 3 presets over here. I use this piano preset from Flex, this Vital preset from BushaZ Soundbank Volume 3, and this Vital preset from the same exact soundbank. So these two over here are just very atmospheric and airy synth chords, and then this piano over here is just to elevate these sounds and strengthen them. It's not really to stand out by any means, it's just to give some extra support to these sounds in the final mix. And for the mixing, all I put on here is this EQ over here that takes out a great chunk of the lows, just because we're going to make a very prominent 808 bass later, and we don't want these lows over here to counteract with that bass and make it sound weird and messy in the mix. So that's why we take out a great chunk over here. And then I took the highs down a considerable amount as well, just because it really muffles these chords and makes them more of a background sound in the mix versus having them really stand out and pierce through the mix. Without the band brought down, you hear those highs, and then with it brought down, it's more muffled, especially with the piano as well. It helps make it more of a support sound. Next, take the bass notes of those chords and put it into an 808. And by the bass notes, I just mean like the root notes of what these chords actually are. So for example, if this is a C sharp chord over here, you're going to have a C sharp for the root or bass note. And if this is a G sharp chord over here, you're going to have a G sharp for the root or bass note. And do that for all these chords that you made over here, and put them into an 808 that sounds something along the lines of this. A very low and blasting nature of the sound, and the pattern itself is just unchanged from the chords. It's just the same pattern from the bass chords, the whatever that I made from earlier. And I used 4 presets to accomplish this 808 sound. I used this Vital preset from BushaZ Soundbank Volume 3, this Flex 808 preset over here, a sub bass preset from BushaZ Soundbank Volume 2, and this 808 sound sample over here. So this is where you get a lot of the texture from the 808, and these really help to hone in on that boosted low end support for the 808, and they all combine together to give you a very modern pop feel for the 808. And for the mixing, all I put on here is this Fruity Blade overdrive with the main knob turned up a pretty alright amount, just to really add some extra distortion to the 808 by turning up this knob. But the main purpose of the overall plugin itself is just to really amplify the essence of the sound and give it some extra strength in the mix. Now for the drums, I have this kick over here, the hard-hitting kind of trap hip-hop type kick with a distorted flare for some texture, and I layered 4 snares and claps over here. I have this one over here, this one as well, this one over here, and last but not least, this one. And layering them all together, they sound like this. A good healthy mix of claps and snares from a hip-hop or trap perspective, which really gives you that modern pop vibe overall. I made my own little hi-hat pattern over here in the channel rack, layering 3 hi-hats, fill each 2 steps. This one takes care of the narrow ends, these 2 take care of the wider ends, and a nice sounding texture overall. I put this cowbell in as well. I added the shaker loop over here, helps keep the rhythm up as well. And finally, a background drum loop just to really fill up the background of the drum pattern that we're creating over here and really just amplify it overall. And altogether, the drum pattern that we created sounds like this. As you hear, it's a very dynamic mix of more acoustic and synthetic sounding elements in the more trap and hip hop region that come together to make a modern pop vibe. And the only mixing that I put on all of these drums all together is this Fruity Blood overdrive. Nothing done to it though, just the preset thrown in here, just to really give some extra body to these drums and amplify them in the mix. Now for the structure and arrangement of this track, I kind of split this up into two parts over here. Part one is like a verse or pre-chorus, and then part two is the full chorus over here. For the verse or pre-chorus, I just started with the guitar sample and the clap from the drum loop. It really helps to introduce what's going to come over here for the chorus, and this is where you put everything all together. You have the synth chords, you have the guitar, you have the 808, and the full drum pattern down here like that. So this is what the full structure of the track looks like over here, and after all that, here's the final result.
With a body like that, I don't want nobody else. With a body like that,